system control parameters. Oh, also in text data, we store information that you normally get to with a user interface. System administration, let's say field defaults. When you add a new customer, and you do that by hitting the insert key or the plus key here, you'll see it brings up the customer detail panel, and it has various information filled in already. These are site-specific defaults, and these you maintain over here off the System Administration menu by going into the appropriate record. Here's, for example, the company record. And then you can see we default to Florida, we default the country to US, customer type to C, status to A, the rep defaults to the current operator. Now this raises an interesting feature in DataFlex. In DataFlex, the language we use, you have something called an expression evaluator. The expression evaluator means evaluate anything within parentheses. We can use that in code, but we can also use that in data. So when the system initializes a new company record, it goes through this text data record and looks at what all the field values are. And if it sees that there's a field value in parentheses, it then evaluates what's in the parentheses and uses that value. So in this case, it sees that there's a global variable called GS operator in parentheses. So it then sets the rep to whoever the current operator is. And we can look over here. New record data. And we can say here, okay, this is the raw data that this program displays, so that you can edit it in here, but it's a little more tedious to edit in here than it is to edit it over here. And we see all the different things that we can set. We set the terms to prepaid, the credit limit, finance charges. Now, back over here on text data, you'll notice that we have two records for company default. We have the defaults, and then we have another one here for user ~PS. And what this does is this says, use these company defaults when you're in the point of sale system. Don't use the regular company defaults, because your regular company defaults may have terms, ship via UPS, and stuff like that, whereas the point of sale defaults are going to be pickup and cash sale, so that you can have different defaults not only by operator, branch, group, and global, you can also have them by function. Now, another place where this is relevant would be with the website. For example, if you have a website an e-commerce, where you allow new customers to set themselves up, you can have a different set of defaults for self-set-up customers on the website, retail, or self-set-up resale customers on the website, so that you get the default information that you need for the particular situation. Over here on the field default setup, you can also pick what type of group you want, the different branches, the different groups, the different types. So that's another use of the text data. We can also go over here and look at field name display setup, which would be, I showed you yesterday how we can change the field names in records. So let's look at one. And let's say we don't like the field name risk level. So as a SysOp, we can go in and say, let's change the field level to how risky. So now we have the name changed to how risky, and we can do a refresh here. Let's go out of this and go back in. And we'll look at file 54, which was the customer. And we'll see here, we have a new record that says in file 54, field number 205, which is company risk level. We want to display how risky, and we can change the status help to this. So now when we go back into that view and go into the detail panel, we'll see that the field is now called how risky. And if you note, the risk, this down here is the status help. This hasn't changed because status help gets loaded the first time the view gets loaded. So the next time we loaded Stream, we would get down here the new text that we put in. How much risk are we taking on this customer? If you're a SysOp, you can change the field labels here, or you can go in to the display name setup and change it over here. Again, it's a text data record. Another thing we store in text data are the field masks. For different fields, you can have different field masks. So let's see if we can change one in here. Let's see. Oh, okay, here. We could change this field mask and say, I don't want to have 4 decimals for this one. I only want 2 decimals. So next time I load this program, this field is only going to display 2 decimals. Then the other thing I can do, let's see, we did defaults, display name. Okay, security is also stored in a text data record. We can set it from the screen here. So if I wanted to take the how risky and say, I don't want to have everybody be able to change the terms. So I could right click here, set the field security, and say, I want this to only be view only. Now the field security here, if I go back into this, we'll see now we've added a record. File 54, field 49, company terms is now view only. So again, that information is stored in a text data record. That gives you an idea of what type of stuff we store in there, why we store it in there.